Hey guys, this is Mel, and I am back to talk about the 100 episode 707 titled The Queen's Gambit, which premiered Wednesday, July 1st, 2020 on the CW. I'm recording at 11:35 p.m. the same night. Yes, it's a little bit longer for me to record, but to be honest, I got caught up in a game, so that kind of took my attention away. But I'm here now to talk about the episode. It's a huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first, and then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. Otherwise, my other video reminders are up on screen, so take a moment to remind yourselves of those. And quick YouTube shout out once again to Aryan Kahani, hope I said that correct, for their double posting for 706. They have a theory that the orangey yellow planet in the character posters I talked about in 706 video could be Earth after Prime Fire had hit. That's very possible in itself, and that does make sense. So that's we still have to figure out how to differentiate between the four planets. I'm assuming it'd have to be Earth, Sanctum, Skyring, and Bardo. Nothing much happens on Nikera, so I don't think why would they have a planet on that. And then the last planet, we haven't even been introduced yet. I know the wiki page has named it, but I know I haven't heard it on the show just yet. So the name will be up on screen if you want to really know what it is, but there's that. In regards to your theory in one of the comments, I love the theory. It would have been great if the Clark's group ended up going back to Earth. That's not the case, but it's definitely something to check fanfiction for sure. But let's get right into this episode in itself. I'm going to try to do this in 30 minutes. I'll try to keep it shorter. I'll be aware of the clock this time because I know I tend to go a little bit longer in the season 7 episodes, so I do apologize, but let's get started. First off, the episode is the directorial debut for Lindsay Morgan, aka Raven, which explains why we don't get Raven as much in this episode. She really is only featured in one scene, so it makes sense for that. Timeline-wise, though, it's a little bit tricky since I do have to take 3 places in consideration, but pretty much all the episodes, or not all the episodes, all the characters pretty much continue where their character previously left off in 706. So in regards to Sanctum, it is the day after the events of 706 with Clark's group in 706 at the very end. They left Nikera. So the next time we see them in this episode, it's pretty much continuing from them leaving the planet. Even though we see so much time between in the episode happening. Same with Bardo. I'm assuming that at the end of 706 is when Gabriel and the others were captured. And then the next time we see them is when they're already in their cells. We don't know how long they've been in those cells, but we do see that for them. And then we also get a 3-month time jump in Bardo itself at the very end. So that's something there as well. Episode reminder, I will say the fact that not only is it the directorial debut of Lindsay Morgan, but also the fact that this episode I found really focused a lot on relationship dynamics and the changes or progressions between a lot of them. And yeah, I'll pretty much make a note of that later on. And then the episode objective is pretty much for Sanctum. It's the unification ceremony is pretty much the main objective there. And then overall, it's just getting answers, whether they're in Sanctum or whether they're on Bardo. They're trying to get answers to some major questions there. And there are spokespeople pretty much because they want answers. We want answers as the audience. So there's that. Episode breakdown, if you will. So the storylines, again, I'll stick it to planets, even though each planet had their own separate storylines going on, actually. Yeah, now that I look at it, they had pretty much quite a bit. So for Sanctum, we get the actual title itself, The Queen's Gambit, being shown. It's a chess move, and it's pretty much shown between Murphy being forced to play a game of chess with Shaheda. So we see that happening. And then outside of that, we see Emori trying to get the unification of Sanctum by reuniting the children of Gabriel to the parents inside Sanctum. So that is something there. I did have a question, so let me just write that down. Okay. And then also another side storyline was the fact that we see an alliance forming between the Legis 3 convicts and the children of Gabriel. They actually called them the Cogs, which I was thankful for. But we see Nikki and Nelson being the spokesperson for each group. By the very end of the episode, they have an alliance with each other to now all the stolen guns are now in possession of the convicts and the Cogs, as Nikki calls them. So there's that. and it seems like they've now taken the palace as hostage, and Mori seems to be the only one in that situation. Although from the way Shaheda was behaving, it seemed like he might have orchestrated the alliance between Nikki and Nelson. I mean, he definitely planted the idea in Nelson's head in the previous episode, but because it seemed like it was also a prime, like the prime believer objective as well too. I don't know if that was the case, but because of the way Shaheda was kind of like stirring the pot, that's kind of the inference I had. I don't know, but there's that. And then we go skip to Bardo, where we get Octavia and Echo being stuck in a cell together, and they deal with Bellamy's death very differently with each other. And then we go to another cell where we see Hope and Dioza, so mother-daughter, dealing with the fact that for Dioza, it's only been 45 days since she's been separated from Hope, but for Hope, it's been 15 years that she's been separated from her mother, and it's dealing with these very two different personalities as well, just trying to find a way to get out. But then overall, over the scope of it, we find out that the reason why the women are in their cells and they've been put together, as well as like being like fed and like everything, is because Bardo is waiting for them to agree to be their warriors, their recruitment, which they end up with Echo's lead. They end up agreeing to be their warriors for this last war. So that's the last we see of them. And then meantime, Gabriel is being recruited as a part of the Cypher unit for Bardo to further analyze the anomaly stone. And with the reference, to give you an idea, Gabriel has been studying the stone for 150 years because of the mind drive, mind you. But Bardo itself, as a civilization, has been studying the stone for over 1,000 years. So they kind of need each other's information and kind of push forward, if you will. So there is that. Also, last moments of the episode show Anders waking up Bill from looks of it, cryo sleep. It definitely gave me vampire vibes, specifically the Underworld series, when the elders would always be awoken for their time to rule over the next century for the vampire race. This gave me that vibes. Anders doing his religious prayer, and then him opening the capsule that revealed Bill inside. And the Bill is actually who they've been referencing as the shepherd. And then him coming out to being and revealing that not only have they not cracked the code, as in the anomaly stone, but now they have the key because Clark is now on Bardo, which is something I should have mentioned in regards to the Bardo storyline. So I will, so put that there. So Clark and her group ended up coming from Nakara to Bardo, but now Bardo is in awe of the fact that the key has finally arrived. And also, I'll say it now because I'm talking about Bill, but I would mention him in characters, or maybe I'll do that now. Let's strike up into characters first. I'll just move him to number 1. So we got Bill, who seems to be Anders' boss, or the shepherd as they call it now. Bill Cadogan, he is actually the leader from the Second Dawn cult. And here's the thing, guys. I didn't recognize him. But if you had recently binge watched the show, Bill would actually be familiar to you because he was first introduced and last seen in episode 403 when Jaha showed the video footage of the Second Dawn cult to Bellamy and Clark. So the three of them would recognize who Bill is, but no one else would have, from my understanding. So that's why it was significant as the last scene of the episode. So if you recognized who Bill was, then that would have been the huge shocker there. Also, just to tie in the fact that Bill was alive before, like in Becca's time. So that is something there, which I'll talk about later on. Next, also, we got Hope confirming that she is 25 years old. So that actually changes her age, because we thought going into when we first saw her in 613 and 701, we thought she was 22 years old, and I've been fidgeting around with my timeline for her age. But she confirms that she's 25 years old with 15 years of training. So she was actually only 20 when, she spent 10 years on Skyring with her mother and Octavia before they got taken to Bardo. And then she spent 6 months alone before Dev came and spent the remaining 10 years of his sentence with her, putting her at 20 and a half years old. No one counts half when they're adults, but you know what I mean. So there's that. And then she gets to Sanctum, spends a day there, and then she gets sent back to Skyring, where she spends another 5 years there. So it puts her 25 and a half years old there. So we got the gist of her age there, but I think there's still, maybe I don't think we have anything else of her life that's unaccounted for, I think. Also, Hope tells her mother that she views Dev as her father. And this is also the episode she finds out more about her biological father being a psychopath and a murderer. And she was only conceived because her mother was trying to get her father to join her cause back on Earth as a freedom fighter terrorist type thing. And then that led horribly to an alliance, but that also led to the greatest thing, that was Hope being conceived. So there's that. Also, let's move on to Echo. I don't know if it's just me though, but this is the first time we actually see, or I remember seeing Echo actually having a shoulder tattoo like Octavia. The only other time I could think that she was ever in a t-shirt or a tank top to allow for the tattoo to be shown was either in 413, just before she went up to the Ark. That's the only time I can think of that we saw Echo like that, or when she was in the Mount Weather cages. I don't recall her ever having the tattoo, so now I have to really go back and check. But I'm wondering if anyone else was thinking that too. We also find out from Echo that she actually scars her face, and that's where we see the Nightblood, so the black blood. So if you forgot she was a Nightblood, this was a huge reminder that she is in fact a Nightblood. But we find out that the reason why Asgeda scarred themselves on their faces was because it was meant to symbolize that they've overcome their pain and that they're pushing forward to continue on as warriors. It seemed like that. So we got a little bit of a callback to Asgeda customs, considering one crew is supposed to be one crew. So there's that. Again, I mentioned with Dioza, she revealed to Hope that the reason why she slept with her biological father, McCreary, and also a little bit more about her time as a terrorist and how she wished Hope never found out the way she did about her past. She did realize her mistakes and what she did wrong, so at least there's growth there with Dioza. Also, moving on to Gabriel, he spends 3 months as a Bardo cipher before Clark and the others come through the anomaly. So that's something there. We don't know how those 3 months have spent for the ladies, though, so we'll have to wait and see about that. Now, let's move on to tidbits, though, very quickly. We found out that Indra actually left in search for their friends after naming herself as the new leader of Juan Crew in the previous episode. She leaves Murphy and Amori in charge since everyone still believes that they're Daniel and Kaylee Prime. We also have Jackson talking to Maddie about her drawings. Her latest one is actually the Bardo Stone Room. It's kind of like, it reminded me, seeing the photo and then seeing where Clark and the others entered, her drawing kind of reminded me of like 4 people. Either it has to be when Clark and the others come through, because it couldn't have been when Hope and the others came through that room, because there was only 3 of them at that time. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw 4 figures coming in, even though there was 5 with Clark's group. But anyways, Maddie is for some reason drawing Bardo in that room in particular now. So that's something there. But also Jackson kind of helps Maddie deal with her panic attacks of trying to figure out the source and what triggers them. So that's something there. We see the return of Alyssa, and she continues to be kind of the messenger for Shaheda, hiding secret messages in his food and passing along information that way. Irritates me so much. But yeah, even though that she's not there to actually see him in person, she's able to do his bidding. So annoying. But there's that. Again, I mentioned before that a tidbit is that Bardo has been studying the stone for over 1,000 years, while Gabriel has only studied it for 150 years. I'm wondering where the 1,000 years marker comes, if that's 1,000 years from when Bill first came to Bardo, or if it's still like 1,000 years, like, because I'm trying to figure out where that lines up on Earth and where the time dilation between Earth and Bardo is, but that's a question there. But let's go to ship status very quickly. Bellamy and Clark, we don't see them on screen, but this is the episode where Clark is told that Bellamy is dead. I still don't believe it, but there's that. Also, Bellamy and Echo, we actually see a flashback of the two of them on the Ark between season 4 and season 5, and we kind of see them talking about what their weaknesses are. Bellamy thinking that Octavia is his weakness, but Echo says that Octavia is actually his strength, and then Bellamy thinks that Echo's loyalty is her weakness, even though she thinks it's her strength, until he clarifies to her that loyalty is a weakness and a strength, because it's a weakness when your loyalties push you to do something you know is not right to do, kind of a thing. And also, it's the start of when I think that's the first time, because we also see them kiss, and Bellamy makes the move on Octavia. Or not Octavia, fuck, that would have been wrong shit. Backtrack, when Bellamy makes the move on Echo. My bad, sorry. But, like, so I think that's the start of when they started being together. But yeah, wow. Bad time to make a name flub, you know what I mean? But anyways, we get mother-daughter bonding between Diyoza and Hope. Trying to make up for lost time. We also see them kind of fighting, like actually fighting in the cells, because Diyoza wants Hope to beat her in order to prove that her way to fight through an army is best, as opposed to Diyoza wanting her to make think smarter, kind of a thing. So that was something. We also see Octavia and Echo kind of grieving together, and Octavia declaring Echo as part of her family too, despite like their history together. So that's something there. We actually get Jackson spending more time with Maddie and kind of doing the therapy sessions. It was actually great to see his insight and his take with her, and his dynamic with her was pretty cool, because I don't think we've ever seen it on that level before. So that was very interesting there. We do see Murphy and Emori trying to play their parts as primes. Emori more so trying to play the role as Kaylee, but Murphy's kind of stuck with Shaheda, and him being restrained to not play the role as Daniel to support Kaylee, and that's kind of where things messed up because of that. And then we also see Emori and Nelson. She tries to build a common ground and understanding between them by bringing up her past as being outcast from her family because of her own mutation, just like Nelson and the other children of Gabriel were, but that doesn't seem to work with Nelson. If anything, he doesn't seem to bond with her in that sense. I don't know why, though, you know what I mean? So there's that. But let's move on to the most shocking moment of the episode. I did mention the fact that Anders waking up Bill in a cryo sleep, and him being, if you remember him from 403, then him being recognized, but also you kind of figured that he would be part of the Second Dawn cult because that cryo sleep had the symbol and everything on it. But another shocker I did have was the fact that we got a flashback to the Ark with Bellamy and Echo. I wasn't expecting that at all. It was very different to see Bellamy without the beard and everything too. But also legit, when we saw the Ark, I thought for a moment that the like Clark and the others would have traveled to the Ark through the Anomaly Stone. I don't know why, for some stupid reason, but the way that it had opened up, I thought that was the case until I saw Bellamy and Echo being there. It's like, wait a minute, what? So then we get a flashback, and then you're thinking, oh, maybe memory captures while we're seeing this, but it's not. It's just Echo recalling and kind of trying to grieve and move past and trying to process the fact that Bellamy's dead, which he's not, I'm saying. But that was a shock there. I'll leave it at that. But let's move on to parallels very quickly. It's kind of a little harder to do parallels because there wasn't very obvious, but Emori's connection to the children of Gabriel, how she was cast out from her own family, it's not a series parallel where it's something that's been established already on the show and then it's just being paralleled in season 7. This is more of like, this is something new about Emori, a little bit more about her that because we got a little bit of a tease about her past in season 2 when we first met her, but I don't know. It depends on how far you want to push the parallel. It's not like a physical, like, visual parallel, but it's more of like a concept parallel, I guess. But we do have that connection. Another thing that can be argued is that Asgada's scarification concept returning, I guess, is kind of a parallel, maybe, because Echo brings it back. But yeah, depends on what you think. But another parallel that does happen is when Jackson brings up to Maddie the source of her panic attacks. He brings up specifically about how when Bellamy asked Maddie to be the commander, and then how Indra had done the same thing to her. He's bringing up how, trying to figure out what triggered it for Maddie to have that panic attack. So that's a parallel there in itself. So that is something there. But let's move on to top 3 favorite moments. A favorite of mine that I had was the chess game between Murphy and Shaheda. I mean, there was a part of me that really hoped that Murphy would beat Shaheda in the chess match, but that's not what happened. What I really liked is the way that it was shot. Visually, you definitely got this power dynamic, and just the way that Lindsay chose to shoot certain scenes or certain angles was pretty cool, and it definitely added to the intensity of the scene itself. But also just the way that Murphy was interacting with Shaheda and trying to get information out of him, but then also like trying not to reveal too much and vice versa. And I thought that was pretty cool. And if anyone was to do that scene, I feel like it had to be Murphy, because he's also the one that's trying to teeter with that. He's always the survivor who does what he needs to do to survive, but then he's also in a position where he is stuck in this hero position now that the usual heroes he calls upon are not there to do the job. So it's a very interesting type of dynamic there. Another favorite I did have was Maddie's therapy session with Jackson. That was really eye-opening. It was really cool just to see them in the scene together, but also just a different aspect. Because definitely in the show, when it's always go, go, go with them, you don't really see them take the time to deal with the mental health and talk about the issues. But we get to see that with Maddie and have her be able to express that. And I'm really glad that Jackson was able to do it and be very open and thorough about it. I hope he does look into, and he kind of does a little bit of the same thing, or he tries to, with Amori before she gets sidetracked. But I really hope Jackson really dives into Maddie's drawings and tries to make the connection that it has to deal with the remembrance of the flame. So hopefully we'll get something from that. Another favorite I did have was Amori's attempts to unify Sanctum. Her heart was in the right place, and it was great that she was trying to put all this effort into it. So I'm really glad that she tried. She tried as best as she could. I'm a little bummed that it didn't pan out the way she had hoped. But yeah, it's drama. Of course, it's not going to. I just hope that her cover as Kaylee isn't blown because of this, though. So that's something there. Another side favorite I did have was the fact that the actor playing Bill, I really love the fact that they still kept the same actor from 403. Definitely just because it's been 3-4 years since that one appearance he made. I'm glad that he was able to come back and they didn't just recast him, because I think that would be a huge deal. I definitely would have had more of an impact if I remembered seeing him. You know what I mean? But I'm just glad that, because I'm always against recasting, because like then it's like you don't get that same impact when you first see them. Sorry. I'm about to cough right now. Okay, so there's that. And then another favorite, it should not be my favorite, but is the fact that when Clark got the news about Bellamy being dead, again, he's not dead, but the way that the camera focused on it, hold on, I really need water. Oh God. You know when you talk for so long, you get the building scratch in your throat? That's what I was getting. But anyways, okay. So what I really liked was the way the camera focused on Clark when she got the news that Bellamy was dead. And instead of panning to like Raven, Miller, Nyla, and Jordan about the news, we kind of got it briefly with Raven. But then it was just solely focused on Clark. And you could see her reaction was just like her emotions just dropped at the news. And I was just like, not to look for like romantic Bell arc or anything, but just to see that moment on Clark, to realize that someone who she thought she lost before and just got reunited and they were on good terms the last time she saw they saw each other, and then now to find out that like she was too late to save him, kind of a thing. It's just like you could feel that all in the few moments we focused on her facial expression just dropping, and it's just like I love that. That's like great acting on Eliza's part. But yes, it's I'm frustrated because he's not dead, but like to also like get that much of a response was what I liked. After what, like 6 episodes of nothing related to Bellamy and Clark, to get this, even though they're not even in the same scene together, was enough, kind of a thing. Like, you know, so there's that. But let's move on to top 3 Peeve moments. Peeve is believing that everybody thinks that Bellamy is dead. He's not. I just don't know where he is, right? So if he's not on Sanctum, he's not on Nikera, he's doesn't seem to be on Bardo. He's definitely not on Skyring. So, like, where... If he was on Skyring, then he's dead at this point because time moves a lot faster there. So the other options is that he's on Earth or he's on that 6th planet, which is Etheria, I think? Name up on screen. So it's like, where else could he be? Because I believe he got blasted through the anomaly portal and he's just left somewhere with that other disciple that he had as hostage with him. That's still my theory. So... Because again, until I see Bellamy dead on screen, I'm not going to believe he's dead. So there's that. Another peeve was the fact that the whole time dilation question. I still don't know how long it actually is between Skyring and Bardo, and Skyring and Sanctum and Bardo, and Nikera as well. So if you look back up on screen with my timeline that I had in episode 705, I added now a portion of it. So up now you see 705. Now you see my new edition where I added the Nikera timeline, because realistically, I think maybe they spent less than 24 hours on Nikera, and yet they jumped in at the end of 706 and then they jump out at the end of 707, as if for them it was just instantaneous for them, but for us it's like it's been a while. So it's like I'm still kind of wondering, but then I also put in what's going on in Sanctum, but I also see, okay, I'm putting it out there right now. If I ever make a show, because I am in the screenwriting program and it is my dream to be able to be a showrunner of my own show, my own idea. If I ever do that, please anybody remind me to put dates in my timelines. Because or in my schedules of any episode, I'm going to have some type of date reference in anything I shoot in regards to a TV show, because I want to be consistent, because this shit really messes me up as a viewer. So it's like, as a writer, I should eliminate that stress from myself. So that's something there. But let's move on to random questions very quickly. First one, did Echo agree to fight for Bardo in the last war just to screw with them later on, kind of like a Trojan horse thing? Or has her loyalties now shifted to Bardo as her way to move forward from her grief on Bellamy? Plus, also, she's probably undergone the most physical transformation in one season alone. First, you had her cutting her hair. Now she has the massive scars that she put upon herself. And now, I'm assuming, as being a Bardo warrior, she's going to be another form of transformation as well. So it's like, where's Echo's mindset at this point? Is she with Bardo fully to, like, move forward from Bellamy and her grief? Or is she pretending to be with Bardo just to screw with them because she views them as the reason why Bellamy's dead? I don't know. So that's a question there. Another question is, with the Second Dawn bunker and the connection to Becca, will Shaheda or Maddie's dreams from the Flame and the past commanders, would they be connected back to what's happening on Bardo with the Second Dawn cult? I don't know. Because it really depends how much interaction Becca and Bill had before the first Prime Fire happened. Because I know that whatever Becca knows would have been transferred into the Flame, therefore all the other commanders would have known, therefore Dark Commander would have known, and Maddie would have known briefly. Potentially, maybe Clark would have known for the brief time she had the Flame inside of her. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, that'd be pretty cool if they found a way to connect it all, though. But then both of them, both Shaheda and Maddie are on Sanctum, so I don't know. You know, so there's that. Another question. Do you think Clark has always been considered the key to this last war, or was it only after Bardo learned about Clark through Octavia that she was viewed to be as the key? And what as the key does that mean? Like, motivation, like a motivational speaker, or like a physical key where like she's an ingredient needed, or like a bit of leverage, like what have you. I don't know. Plus it makes sense if Clark knows about Bill, but how could Bill know about Clark before Octavia even came into the picture and gave them that information? So I'm wondering to what extent and when they found out about her being the key and how she was the key. I have no idea. They make it seem like it's this prophesized part she plays, but I don't know. It kind of gives me Harry Potter vibes in that essence, if that's wrong or not. When they keep saying that she's the key to everything, kind of a thing. Or like Supernatural with the Winchesters and their roles in the apocalypse. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. I need more answers to that. So there's that. Another question that came is, do we know what happened to Gaia? Last time we saw her was the end of 704. She got knocked around by that Bardo soldier, and then they took her through the anomaly stone, and we just don't know where she popped out of. We're assuming she went back to Bardo, but like no one has made reference of it. No one knows that she's even missing, because Clark and the others think that she went back to Sanctum, and Bellamy wouldn't know. Octavia, Gabriel, Echo, and Hope and Diosa, they wouldn't know that Gaia is missing. And so, like, no one is aware. And then Indra's under the impression that Gaia went with Clark. So it's like, what? Who's looking for Gaia? That's the question there. Plus, how long she would have spent in Bardo, and what role is she in Bardo for? Like, was she given a recruitment option as well? Did she join as a former Flamekeeper, now join in their views of the Shepherd and all that? Their own religion? I don't know. So that's something there. Last question I had about the cogs was the fact that we got the whole issue where Nelson's father ended up viewing him as an abomination. There's my timer. As an abomination, saying that the nulls were not accepted. But, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't the whole reason why the children of Gabriel were cast out was because they were not viable as vessels for the primes? Therefore, they were just regular red bloods. They weren't night bloods. But then, what about all the other people that were in Sanctum, like their parents? Like, they made it seem like anybody with black blood, anybody who was a vessel for the primes, it was a rare thing to have. So, how did they differ from the rest of the people in Sanctum if the people who got cast out were the ones that were just total rejects and complete red bloods? Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, wouldn't everybody else in Sanctum, including like the children of Gabriel and their parents, wouldn't they also be considered nulls because they weren't viable vessels for the primes because they were such a rare occurrence and they needed the radiated blood in order for that? It's like, I don't understand how could Nelson's father view his own son to be an abomination when I'm under the impression that he too would not have been a viable prime vessel, so therefore his blood would have been null and void. You know what I mean? So it's like, I'm very confused by that mindset, and like, yeah. I'm not even surprised that Nelson killed him in self-defense when he tried to choke him out, but it's like, at the same time, it's like, I'm confused why you would still call him an abomination with you, yourself, your blood could not do what your outcast son was not able to do as well. Like, you know what I mean? So that's the confusing part there for me. Please clarify that for me. But let's move on to predictions very quickly. Based off the promo for 708, it's that we see Becca. It's actually, this is the backdoor pilot to the potential prequel series. But we see Clark trying to get answers from Bill, the leader of the Second Dawn cult, and we get flashbacks to Becca and Bill during the time before the first Prime Fire happened, when the first nuclear war happened. We might also see Gabriel and the original Allegius crew members, like, because they were part of Earth at that time before they got sent off. So it's like, it's possible we might see them there, or might hear names of them and such. So that is something we might see. But the synopsis, though, reads for the episode: Clark confronts a new adversary. A surprising connection takes us back to the past and the nuclear apocalypse that destroyed the Earth. So again, This episode's called Anaconda. It's supposed to be the backdoor pilot. What I find funny is the fact that this wasn't actually the next episode filmed on the production list. It was actually the 13th episode film as opposed to the 8th episode. So I'm very interested to see like how they were able to do episodes 8 to 12 without having filmed 13 or having, because I'm pretty sure, I don't know if the backdoor pilot was already written and they just waited to filming and that's what happened, or if they wrote it as the 13th and then they just rearranged it. I don't know, but it'd be very interesting for that. I don't know. That's just the student part of me wondering how that things work. I always find it interesting when episodes are not filmed in order that they are airing. It messes with me when I'm trying to do timeline stuff. But yeah, that is pretty much it. But with this episode, we are very close to hitting the midpoint of the final season. I still want to know where present day Bellamy is, so we'll have to wait and see about that. But what did you guys think of the episode? What did you guys like about it? What do you think will happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your thoughts, theories, and opinions about all that good stuff. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I reblog promos, web clips, quotes, GIFs, synopses, news, all that good stuff. All found in one place. Go check that out. I am a little behind. I am on my 2-week break between semesters, so hopefully it's on the list of things for me to do within the 2 weeks. I got a lot of things I got to catch up on with everything before. But, yeah, follow me there, though, to keep up to date with any updates. It's all organized best as I can over there. I like going to one place to find certain things. So, hopefully, my Tumblr page makes it easier for you guys. Also, WordPress account link for that is down below. Anything I post online is connected to WordPress. It's a little more organized, a little more detailed, but still a work in progress once again. But otherwise, guys, that is pretty much it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you guys come back next week to see what I have to say about the next episode. But until then, guys, I hope you guys stay safe. Stay safe. Stay healthy. I know by the time I'm recording this, my Canadian viewers are celebrating Canada Day. I know my American viewers are having Independence Day coming up this weekend. So if you have to celebrate, please be smart about it. Stay distant, but please wear your mask. I know some people are disregarding the fact that COVID-19 is still going on and they're just going about their day as normal. But guys, please just do the precautions if you want to go outside. Because if you don't, you might end up being stuck in a lockdown situation once again. And I'm just saying, please be safe if you have to go out. But be smart when you celebrate. But otherwise, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you for listening. Sorry about my voice. But again, until next time, wow. This is Mo. Wish you a great day, great week, everyone. Bye for now.